What's up? Today's video I'm going to be talking about Fortnite esports because I'm fucking 20 years old and I'm not gonna lie, I grew up playing Fortnite. And not only playing Fortnite, but competing in Fortnite. Not at a super high level, but I dedicated so much time onto competitive that it's basically just become a part of my life, right? And recently I started noticing that it's like, it's supposedly supposed to be Fortnite's biggest year competitively, right? Like, we've got the World Cup being back, or is it like the Elite World Cup? I don't know what it is, but technically, it's a World Cup. And then we also have FNCS starting again, and like, all the big names are there, the teams are here, like, the esports scene seems to be like, the most established it's ever been, and yet, it's the most boring ever. I don't think I've been invested in watching any Fortnite competitive events in at least 5-6 months. Everything's been so consistently boring ever since the end of chapter 6. It's unfucking watchable. And I feel like it's basically highlighting Fortnite's biggest problem, which is hype around comp. That ramp was fully transparent. I don't know what that was. But I'm saying, like, I remember back in the day, people actually cared about teams and just there was hype around comp. It was like watched very often. It wasn't like, oh, 2 players were being watched. Like, I remember last year was Clicks versus Speedabot, and it was super hyped, and it was actually the best Fortnite tournament I've ever watched ever in my life, right? But aside from that, there hasn't been any highlights that like there were back in 2019, where like in 2020 even, and even 2021 and 2, where there was a lot of hype around teams, or at least a lot more than there are to this day. And basically, what I'm trying to get at is Fortnite needs to find a way to bring back teams. I know it's like it's been talked about and all that, but the Battle Royale game mode is just ass now. It genuinely isn't good anymore. It's not a good format, or at least the way it's held, like the way it's made by Fortnite is just not good. Because I know for a fact, Apex Legends is popping off. What? Apex Legends is popping off and has hype around teams, and the structure makes it so that teams are very hyped up. So, you kind of think that Fortnite just fucking sucks at doing that. But then again, it's good because it allows the Fortnite structure allows anyone to compete, which is good. But that also makes it so there's absolutely no hype around tournaments, and there's just a bunch of randoms. And the only reason why you would be hyped is if you were keeping up with all the new, like the newbies, like the players that are, like the players that are on up and coming, right? That's the only way you keep hype around that. And even that, the up and comers are not even that good, because like the skill ceiling is so high to be a tier 1 pro. It's just fucking crazy. So they always do terrible, and there's nothing to expect much. It's always the same drill. And especially the fact, I don't want to complain about NA East and all that. I do hate the fact that they removed NA East, but now that it's NA Central, half the NA East players quit, and NA East players were the core of Fortnite. Like, they literally undeniably were. So like, they lost half of Fortnite's core community. Every content creator quit because they're not trying to play on 50 ping and move to fucking Dallas just so they can play on lower ping. It just doesn't make any sense. I'm actually gonna find a new opponent because this is very boring. And I think now it's time to like propose a solution. And one solution is, well, first of all, lower the player count in Battle Royale. Like, obviously the games are too long, it's too dragged out. It's not a format that's sustainable for the current day and age. And second of all, it's just completely create a new game mode. And I'm not talking about reload, because I think it's pretty widely acknowledged that reload sucks as a competitive game mode, yet they're still hosting a World Cup, which partakes in the fact that Epic Games' decision making when it comes to esport is not it, very clearly. But yeah, no, it's making a new game mode entirely. And I had this flash not too long ago where I remembered, what is this guy doing? I remembered how fun it was back when Ops 1X. Now, this is a long time ago. Essentially, this guy would he would host big zone wars and box fight tourneys, and would have like all the big names played. I remember, and not just big names, he would make them create teams and all that. I remember back in the day in the zone wars com, we had like Chronic, Melody, Face Sway, and a bunch of other players that were super hyped up, competing a bit against, like, we had Clicks, Kanata, like, so many good players were all competing against each other, and it was just fun to watch. These tournaments got a lot of views, and I look at, like, let's say late at night after all the pros are done scrimming or like playing tourneys, there's always tokens going on, And these tokens, like, I know they're late, but they're still, like, considering how late they are, they still pull decent viewers and have hype around them. Sometimes I see, like, channels reposting clips of tokens. Like, there's a big audience for this kind of stuff, and it could very much be exploited. I don't know why they haven't tried that. Or perhaps not even have zone. I think Zone Wars, box fights, and all that suck as competitive game modes for the only reason that if they were to be broadcast, they wouldn't have a storyline. I feel like one strong point of Battle Royale alongside with the best esports in the world, let's say League of Legends and Valorant as the best, honestly the best esports to watch. The main reason for that is because they have a storyline. And let me elaborate on what that is. It's more like the conditions start and both teams are essentially on an equal footing, right? They start, but there's one team that takes the edge and another team that essentially loses. But because the odds aren't always the same throughout the games, because there's different factors in play, like, let's say in Valorant, there's money and then there's guns. You can have super bad guns, but if you play a good round, then you'll have good guns and you'll be able to compete again. Like, there's economy, there's factors that contribute to a potential comeback, a storyline. They just create, they add shape to the games and make it super entertaining for the viewers to watch. Battle Royale also has that, where it's like you're gonna see one team be super, like, get conned off spawn, be shambles the whole game, and somehow manage to come back or have a super good clutch. It's brilliant. It creates those moments that are incredibly fun to watch. And if there's a way for Fortnite to create a game mode that involves the highly mechanical potential that creative has, like Zone Wars and all that, right? But also including a storyline, because let's be honest, Zone Wars has no kind of storyline. It's just raw mechanics, and yeah, okay, there's a comeback, but there's no other factors aside from sheer mechanical comeback. There's no odds on the line. If the team is ass and they're getting shit on, they're not going to come back most likely, like most of the time. There's no way they're going to come back. If they're getting 5-0'd, they're not going to suddenly 7-0 the opposing team. There's absolutely no way. But if there were other odds in play, like money, economy, maybe powers, RNG, anything of the sort that Fortnite is good at, I feel like an esport similar to creative would have all of its chances for success. It really would, and I can't believe Fortnite hasn't tried that before. And making sure that it's round-based as well. I feel like round-based games do the best. I would say League of Legends, like, it's not round-based, it's one huge, like, what kind of? Because, like, there's 3 games and all that. So it is kind of round-based, but the best games, CSGO and Valorant, in my opinion, are the best and most fun esports to watch, and they're round-based. You can literally see the comeback happening, and Fortnite has the potential to do that, and I can't believe they haven't done that yet. It just doesn't make sense, literally. Wow, what am I? 200. And yeah, it would just be so fun to see. Or perhaps, like, kind of like Overwatch has different game modes. I've never really watched Overwatch esports, but I know that there's so many different game modes, and I'm assuming that teams, let's say it's team, I don't know how it works, like Team Minnesota versus Team New York. Well, they're both going to face off in different game modes, and Fortnite could do that. Perhaps there's one, like, on the game 1, the teams face off in a modified version of box fights, and then they can, on the second round, they're going to face off on a modified version of Zone Wars. Then on the tiebreaker, they face off in Reels or any new game mode that can involve Fortnite's cool concepts and mechanics like zones and I don't know, it's just the RNG in Fortnite, believe it or not, I think is super fantastic. Just the weapons and all that. There's so many things they can do. There's so many workarounds, gold, like there's systems in Fortnite that can be exploited to make such a great fucking esports. And I can't believe they're just limiting themselves to BR when there's so much potential around other game modes, as I've said multiple times already. But yeah, I would just love seeing that. I feel like that's an issue they haven't done yet. And Rocket League, no, not Rocket League. Well, yeah, it has the same aspect, you know, quick rounds, highly mechanical, fast-paced, and people love it. I don't know why people wouldn't enjoy it on Fortnite as well. It would just be so fun. And the fact that they could potentially add RNG and more factors in play would make it so that more players that aren't as mechanical could have their chances. Or maybe just, as I said, have different game modes for different rounds. So, like, let's say teams face off on round 1 and it's box fights, and then round 2 it's zone wars. So each round, well, each players can have strengths or like special, yes, more strengths in certain game modes and all that. It just makes sense if Fortnite does that. But they haven't. But they definitely need to start investing in something like that. They have to. I feel like it's the only way out of this esports thing, bro. Because it's not working, in my opinion. It just doesn't fucking work. And there needs to be hype around teams. Teams signing players is what makes any esports live. It's what creates the dream of players like becoming pro and just accomplishing things. It's always been around teams and franchises and history and all that. Like, I remember back in the day, every kid that I knew that played video games would always dream about being signed to a pro team. And like, even in the early Fortnite days, it was always about grinding for, I remember grinding for like Bloodhound. Then there was Laser. Yeah, Team Laser. There's like so many things. I was in Core at one point. It was a much smaller team, but so many teams. And then there were like tier 2 teams as well. You know, I was mainly talking about tier 3 and tier 4 organizations, but like Ghost back then was like a tier 2. Sen as well. It was, I don't know. There's just so many teams. And opening up opportunities for players and teams to create contracts is what really would make Fortnite. It would give Fortnite a second life, in my opinion, at least competitive wise. It would create this incentive for most players to really start tryharding. And this is to say, like, ranked also fucking sucks as well. Like, could be a whole nother topic. I have ideas in my head on how to fix ranked that people actually haven't suggested, and I know they would work. Because I've played a lot of competitive games in different formats. I played CSGO. I didn't play Face It, however, but still, like, CSGO, League of Legends, fucking Rocket League, a little bit. I hate the game, but still, Valorant. I've witnessed enough competitive systems to understand what makes a good competitive system and what makes a bad one. Even Minecraft, I would say, had better competitive systems than fucking Fortnite ranked, and it's miserable. Current Minecraft day and age doesn't have the best ranking, but I'd say like Bad Lion days and Kohi days, like Faction and all that. The rankings, although probably wouldn't be able to apply in Fortnite's system, were all just better and more enjoyable to participate in than whatever the fuck we've got for our ranked game mode here. It's so terrible. It's so terrible. So yeah, just I think teams come back and new game modes and all that. That's what Fortnite needs. That's my very honest opinion. Now I'm gonna kill this guy and then end off the video. Let me just 3, 2, 1, dead. Alright. Well, that's it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. With that being said, please drop a like, drop a follow, drop a comment, all that stuff. And let me know what you think. Actually, I'm very curious of if you think my takes are good or not. And that being said, I'll catch y'all tomorrow. Have a good day.